Hello, hello. If you're watching on the YouTube VOD, you want to skip forward about 4 minutes. If you're here live, hold on for about 4 minutes. I need to make a ring. There we go. Jesus, I just came back from getting my drink. This is just noise. There we go.
Push me down to the ground. What goes around comes around. You won't put the flame out. You can't get to me. Say what you wanna say. Go take it all away. But I'm here to stay. No, you can't get to me. And there is no barricade that I can tear away. Shoot me down, but fire away, away. But I'm a heavyweight.
Yep, we'll be back on Twitch as soon as I can be back on Twitch. Unfortunately, I am stuck on the YouTube for a little bit. Jesus, I almost typed in the Twitch URL on my tweet. That's not what I want. Okay. If I go here, what happens? It's a dark screen. Let's put that away. It's just me and the, and if I go over here and then click this, bop, bop, stretch, stretch. Right, so this is going to be something actually a little bit different to what we normally do. But two things before we begin. First, yes, hello, I'm on YouTube. It's a bit weird, it's a little bit different. The frame rate on the camera is a little bit low, but yeah, whatever, that'll be fine. Hello, hello, hello. The first thing is I need footage. So send me footage. If you have sent me footage, some of you have sent me footage without a URL attached. That's a problem. So check if you've sent me footage recently and you haven't sent it with a URL to a YouTube VOD, because I kind of need those. They kind of help. And other than that, yeah, if you do have footage to send in, please do so. Any kind of footage will do. Just send it in. If you want to know how to record it, there's a video on the channel that explains it with some Roadhog coaching behind it, but honestly, it's pretty easy. Download OBS, it's free, set up to recording. I literally did it this afternoon to record some stuff. It took me about 10 minutes. Just check the bitrate, that's the only thing you really need to check, and where it's saving the files, so you don't save it to the wrong drive that has no disk space. Make sure you do that, and you should be good to go. Right, otherwise, yeah, let's dig into this one. So this was a kind of unique thing that someone sent me, which is apparently some people doing like mock Overwatch League games. I'm guessing they're just trying out like various team comps and stuff. And he sent me this footage in third person, which, you know, most people have opted not to do. They've instead opted to go for the first person perspective, because that's just a lot easier. The person in question is Redat3108, so it's our Moira player. And I thought this would be a good opportunity for us to explain like how to use third person in your review. Like if you are watching your replays, how should you be using third person? What should you be doing? The big thing to do is just to like get yourself into a good mindset on like what you should be focusing on in third person. So it's much harder in third person to actually get a read on like what you're doing moment to moment, right? It's like your aiming decisions are much harder because we don't know what our friendly Moira is really looking at the moment. We know where their positioning is, and the positioning seems fine, and that's sort of the main thing we're going to be determining is like positioning, decision-making, that kind of stuff, rather than the moment-to-moment gameplay choices. It also gives you an idea as well of if the enemy team has stuff like, hey look, Thanos emoji over here is playing on the Tracer. You can get a good feel for like the sort of flank routes that people might be taking and the options that are available to them and the kind of things they can be trying to do and set up on you. So it can give you a greater awareness of that kind of stuff. It's also very useful for if you are trying to think of things as a team, like how's the team moving, how's the team interacting, that kind of stuff. And so far, this looks fairly standard for King's Row, mostly people playing around this corner. This is exactly kind of how most people set up on King's Row. You just use this area here. Just a quick look at our team comps as well, just because I haven't done that yet. Looks fairly standard. Good barrier smash available. You have the Junkrat and the Hanzo, so that's pretty good barrier damage overall. Win condition seems to just be, yeah, Riptire is definitely the big one I'm looking at. Riptire, Sigma ults are going to be like the big things. You can also use Dragon Strikes, especially on King's Row, to flush people out and get a couple of kills. And then you also have the Orisa Baptiste combo. For us, our job is primarily going to be to keep, honestly, we can do pretty good here. We can actually just keep everybody kind of alive. No one is really going to be flanking super much. The Junkrat might go a bit suicidal at times. You might want to consider not doing that quite so much because these are healers that will struggle to heal like long distance or through barriers. So he needs to just be a little bit careful. Otherwise, yeah, so far so standard. And the big thing here, especially at the 315 muck, is to keep an eye out for that Tracer, and now they have a Widowmaker. So our positioning needs to be extra careful. And it looks like, we've adapted our positioning. So the Widowmaker you can see is over here. You can see great big clear lines of where she's shooting from. We just need to back away. The Widowmaker's kind of already done her job here, which is to try and push you guys off the point. But as long as the team kind of reacts appropriately and starts defending in this space, that's fine. You might notice, for example, that the Orisa seems quite far forward, because she's going to have to fall all the way back to here to get back to her safety, and you can't really move forward. So like the Baptiste is going to need to be the one to keep things alive here. There's the Tracer waiting on the high ground. The Tracer should not be a problem for you. And there's the Orisa dying. Hey, called it. Called it. Like, we did what we can. Let's have a look at her barriers. Yeah, like this barrier here, this is like, because I'm assuming you guys are playing in voice chat because it seems to be some sort of form of six stack or at least some form of group. This is where you really need to call like fall back, and this position is never going to be tenable, especially against a Reinhardt. If you're playing a Risa, you really don't want to put this barrier this close. Like, you need to force him to cover a large amount of distance, and yeah, their team doesn't do barrier damage well, so if you just knuckle in, dig in at like this position, they can't really do anything. They can't really push you off the point super easy. They need to get Tracer in to get a pick, or they need to get the Widowmaker to get a pick, but as long as you play safely, Tracer will have a really hard time killing through Moira Baptiste. Like, it's just really difficult. This is part of why Tracer's kind of fallen out of meta. I've actually seen people making some tier lists for DPS, like some content creators trying to make tier lists for DPS. Some of them I agree with, some of them I disagree with slightly. Like, some of them had, like, Ashe on the same tier as McCree. I think all of them have had Ashe on the same tier as McCree, and I don't quite agree with that. And yeah, once that Orisa dies, like, you guys are in a lot of trouble. Because there's no way. Notice the Tracer just has to blink out straight away. But yeah, all the damage just starts smashing through. Double Barrier and Sigma makes taking Hotel Route very easy now when they're held by even when held by Junkrat. It's definitely an option, like just smashing your way through it. The bigger threat there is like if you have the Mei, of course. But if they do take Hotel Route, and like this is worth discussing, and like if they do opt to just smash through Hotel, all you got to do is you got to be observant, and you got to make sure that like if it's their tanks going through, then yeah, you just have to like rotate a little bit and just back away, or you just back away this way. There's a danger of backing away this side because, hey, this Widowmaker is set up and she should be looking to like pick you off, and she will pick you off. But as long as you just have a little bit of space, like you can concede the point a little bit, and then when they move on the point, you can just push back in. Because their Reinhardt is not going to have the longevity. Like Reinhardt Diva, especially, is just not going to be able to outlast Sigma or Orisa. You can let them take a little bit of a third. As long as your Orisa manages to get to here, you're fine. Their DPS should be very ineffective. This is just a matter of, like, you want to slow down the game, and then once you start getting Riptires and Dragon Strikes, if they try pushing through Hotel and you have Dragon Strike or Riptire, you just kill them. And just cycle those ults over and over and over again. Honestly, it's not the end of the world at this point. Like, I think the fight ends and you have 80% on both ults. Yeah, 80% on the Junkrat, 80%, well, 72% on the Hanzo, 70% on the... on the Sigma, but your Hanzo is swapped to Widow. I'm not a fan of that myself. I can appreciate why he'd do that, but with Dragon Strike, especially on this point, would be kind of nice to have. Huge DMAC on the Diva. Their team, yeah, should be real careful about pushing forward. Like, they need to take ground, and it looks like they've swapped up as well. They got rid of the Tracer. That's a very smart move from them. Still have the Widow. Yeah, you guys just want to try and regroup. Like, that's the priority here. Getting that Diva kill is huge. The Diva cannot let that happen. And at this point, I'd just be looking for a Riptide just to stabilize, and then holding... So, let's talk about King's Row in general, right? Because we should be thinking in general terms. King's Row, best places to hold are either here, or like all the way back here, right? All the way at the end of the point. You will see holds happen here as well, and like you can have fights happen here and here. These are all weaker than these two holds. These two are like the golden standard. The reason why is because this is just such a tiny, tiny choke point to get through, and the flanking routes are like either all the way back here, which is quite far, or it's like a window that's pretty much facing the same direction. Like you can see the window and the choke point at the same time. Whereas with this, you can start getting into the messy situation of coming around here. You can start seeing people go over the top if they have Pharas and stuff. This flank route is still available. This flank route is available. And then when you start getting here, the spawn distances start like favoring the defense, and that's why this point starts getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Who would you say are the top tier DPS at this point? Doom Reaper are probably the two that just instantly lead to mind. I did see one tier list with like no S tier, because the idea of S tier is that, oh, it's defining the meta, and DPS don't define the meta at this point, and I kind of agree with that notion. But I'd say like the A tier is definitely Doom, Reaper. I kind of want to say Sim, but I won't say Sim. I'd honestly put Mei higher than Sim. And then probably B tier will be like Sim, Hanzo, Junkrat, maybe. I think most of the hit scanner on the bottom too. I think like there's a mentality of like Ashe seems to be popping up higher than I expect in most of these tier lists, and I kind of get why. Which is that in this scenario, what you do as Ashe is you just throw dynamites over and you detonate them over and over and over again, and then you farm a Bob, and then you send Bob in, and Bob shoots everyone, and that's kind of your job. And then you can maybe get some picks as Bob causes them problems. But I don't know, I just find it like so frustrating to play Ashe that you're just shooting if you try to shoot barriers, you just have to reload constantly. You don't get to do anything. At least the McCree can deal with like the Doom. He causes problems for like the Doomfist, the Reaper, the stuff that's strong, the Symmetra if they're playing Symmetra. She has to kind of respect the McCree. But with Ashe, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't favour it. The surprise Junkrat? Okay. So let's take a look at this. So our positioning right now, let's try and find us. We've just come back. We use Fade to get back nice and quickly. Do we use... See, this is the hard part. Do we use both Fades? I can't really fault us in using Fade to get back quickly, though. Although I will probably be hesitant to use it at this point. Like, okay, no, once this hits, yeah, and especially once he dies, yeah, you've got to Fade in. That's fine, actually. Just to get there quickly. Fine with that coalescence. Team should be falling back. That kind of worked out. It's kind of okay. Okay. So here's the issue with, like, the enemy team kind of fucked up here because they telegraphed super hard. The Junkrat flank didn't work as well. Like, the Junkrat... So they saw that, oh, we killed Baptiste. Let's go. Oh, guys, I got a pick. Let's go. Let's fire everything. Like, Zenyatta trances all the way back here. And it's a completely pointless trance as well, I think. Like, why... Yeah, there's no need. There's literally no need. And here's the weird thing to me about this trance. Like, this trance is actually tilting me. Because it's like, the threat that you're considering here is this guy, is the Junkrat. Because he hasn't swapped since point 1. He's going to have Riptire. Transcendence does not help much against Riptires. And this is just super telegraphed. Like, if you're going to do this and do this combo... And I know I'm commenting on the wrong team here, but we have like everything available, so let's comment on everything that we can talk about. The Reinhardt's like here. Like, you want to get the Reinhardt all the way to the corner, and then you nano him as he goes in. You don't nano him like when he's here and has to run all the way forward, because all these guys need to do, like once this nano goes off, is they just need to give space. Like, that's all you do. You just give them the space because, okay, fine, yeah, you use nano boost, and we just run away. And in theory, the Junkrat should interfere with that slightly, but even then... And our job on the Moira is exactly what we're doing, pretty much, which is, like, we want to fall back slowly and just, like, give a corridor of safety for our team to run back into. So we need to make sure that our team is retreating through our beam, and that's going to keep us alive as people retreat. I would like us to touch up the Sigma a little bit. So keep an eye on Sigmas when they do the ult, because it does, like, drift them into the sky, and... Sigmas have an instinct where they ult and they'll hold spacebar, and they need to kill that instinct, to be honest, because it will get them killed at times. But there is a Widowmaker floating around somewhere on this map. Okay, she's just coming in now. But yeah, the Reinhardt overextends. Hey, Reinhardt players. Hey, every player on the planet, if you've got an Ana on your team, do you know what you don't do? You don't go around this corner. Ana's here. Reinhardt's here. Guess who can't heal? Just because you're nano doesn't mean you're immortal. The nano runs out, and yeah, it's just dead. Okay, yeah, just take it slow. Like, your team, the slower this game goes, the better it is for your team, because you have all the barriers in the world. They don't. You're mostly just waiting for the Baptiste to get back. You also need to do something about this Widow. Like, this is someone else's job, to be honest. This is definitely not ours. So their team has a slight advantage here in that their Widow got set up in a really nice position. She's sort of back here, just like poking down. Being honest, you three can just stay on the point here though. Like, Sigma might need to go and deal with this eventually as people are coming back, and that's kind of all you need to do. Maybe just use the Baptiste Immortality field to come back and cross. And like this should be trying to cross as safely as possible because their DPS are actually back here, but they're kind of stuck. And I think the issue here is that the Baptiste needs to use Immortality Field maybe to get safety. Okay, that's their infra site. Orisa definitely needs to be considering. So this barrier is not great. And again, this is where like callouts are super important. You need to keep track of where the Widow is. Because this barrier needs to be more sideways. You aren't going to be fighting them much in this alleyway if the Widowmaker is here. She is controlling all of this area and she will just start popping people's heads. So you need to be very careful. But hopefully you guys have come up with a plan for this fight. The plan should be pretty simple, which is like Junkrat ult could just be the plan, to be honest. Especially if the Widowmaker is contested, just make sure there's something protecting the Junkrat ult. Make sure the team follows in the Junkrat ult slightly as well, so once the tire goes through, people need to like push with it. Makes it much safer, much stronger, rather than just having the tire going on its own. You also have a pretty good option with the Baptiste and the Orisa ultis. If they try and push into you, then you can just dump both of those around this corner and just shoot through. Either of these plans will work just fine and will cause a number of problems for them. Their team's plan should be pretty simple, which is if you do engage using the bongo, they just lob a Diva Bomb and then back away. Like lob a Diva Bomb and let it do its thing, and then re-engage. Not where you want it to be. So the biggest issue the team is facing at this point, I'd say, is your Orisa. Like, let's talk about Reinhardt telegraphs. Reinhardts, when they have ulti, will run at you like complete idiots. This guy runs in, and he literally runs through the barrier, and while we're moving the camera, he drops it, and it looks like no one blocked anything. Yeah. This is why you got to give Reinhardt, like Reinhardt and Orisa, the dynamic is that you give Reinhardt space to run at you, and you just keep falling back slowly. Because he'll run out of steam eventually. You won't. Your barriers replenish. His barriers don't. In terms of us on the Moira, what can we do? Not much, to be honest. If you're feeling really spicy, you could be the one to go and contest. I do like the fact that we are, like, actually playing in a relatively intelligent position, which is out of line of sight. Playing here. Line of sight here. We are out of line of sight of the Widow. We have the barrier to protect us, and hey, we aren't earth-shattered. You should be able to fade that anyway. It's fine. But yeah, this is donezo. That Reinhardt should not be able to get away with that. And hey, no one's used any else. But you guys have lost second. This is where if this was ranked, someone will be going, "Oh my god, Junkrat, are you gonna ult sometime today?" Swapping to Ryan Zarya. Interesting. Welcome to the struggle of finding good camera angles in third person. That shouldn't happen. Honestly, their team is just trying to grab what ground they can. That is a beauty of a fire strike. Our priorities haven't really changed though with the Ryan's area. I mean, we stick with the Ryan's area a little bit more. We play a little bit more aggressive and into them. And honestly, your team should still have advantage. Ryan's area should beat Ryan Diva. Even on the new patch, like with the nerfs to Zarya, like she's still really, really, really good. Also said again, while more people are here, if you do have footage, please send it in. OAMreviews@gmail.com. I don't have the command in chat at the moment because I need to set everything up again, and I can't because I'm locked out of my Twitch account. But if you do have footage, OAMreviews@gmail.com. You know where to send it. Okay. Oh no, okay. Oh god, I love points to the Junkrat for comedic timing. Okay. So your team actually has a really simple plan, and it feels like your Reinhardt backs away at precisely the wrong moment. Like, if the Rein wants to use his ulti... Well, he doesn't quite have it yet, that's why. Okay. Even then, like, at 95% he should be like, okay, focus Rein, I want to ult. I want to ult, get Rein. And your team should be pushing forward at this point. I don't like that Baptiste ult, because the enemy team can just back around the corner, and that's fine. If you want to deploy Baptiste ult, like, when I try and deploy a Baptiste ult, I'll always try and put it on, like, a corner. So if they do want to back around the corner, they have to, like, go around this one. So they have to concede tons of space. By putting it here, they just back up here, and this is suddenly irrelevant. You get all the healing juice out of it, but you won't get any extra benefit out of it. The Baptiste fucks up here. He should immediately, the moment he hears this, immediately drop the immortality field. Is it on cooldown? Let's find out. He hasn't used it. I've gone back 15 seconds. It's not on cooldown. If you're playing Baptiste, you hear, fire in the hole! You drop it. You drop it straight away. This should not happen. Baptiste counters Junkrat ult in a lot of good ways. Yeah, the Junkrat just goes to the high ground. I mean, yeah, fine. But it's like, where's our Junkrat as well? He tries to bounce out. And yeah, you either prioritize surviving here and just find somewhere where to hide, or you will die on the point. Looks like their Junkrat died? He was busy spinning? Look at him, watch him go! He knows he's got to play the game. And then launches himself down. Yep. Welcome to finding camera angles in this point. Okay, yeah, you guys have a prime opportunity for retake. Let's see that Junkrat ult from our team. There it is! This is why Transcendence versus Riptide. Like, what was he planning? What was he hoping for? The flank, it honestly doesn't. Like, you guys just deal with that on your own. You need to deal with it. Like, please deal with it. If this McCree kills more people, I'm going to be pissed. He's still alive. Okay, if you hear a Deadeye come from behind your team, you need to address that. McCree, as a flanker, is not great. Flank Deadeyes are a gimmick. They can work, and if they do work, they work spectacularly, but if they fail, like this one did, he killed one person, he needs to kill significantly more. Yeah, you just go kill him. Like, their team lacks a main tank, they've blown their support ulti, and everything is fine. You do not push forward at this point. You just clean up the McCree, and then you push forward. Somehow he just blew up Zarya from full hit points, because we're trying to keep our Reinhardt alive, he's trying to push, and yeah, that's a problem. This needs dealing with. And this comes down to like a game knowledge thing of like, McCree just dead-eyed behind us, but it's McCree. He's not a flanker. Like, his escape, his single escape is his ability to flashbang someone and maybe blow them up. If two people go after him, he's done. Like, he can't do that anymore. It doesn't work. As long as they keep moderate distance from him, he's not going to get both of them. Even if he does get both of them, he shouldn't be able to kill both of them. Let's get some damage on that Reinhardt. Come on. Come on. We fucked up there. Right. So, our Baptiste used Immortality Field early in panic. Ryan drops low. Immortality Field. Okay, fair enough. The thing with this Coalescence is you really want to put pressure on this Reinhardt. When a Reinhardt gets stuck like this, and especially when your Reinhardt's in an Immortality Field, you've got two supports plugging away at him, you really want to put pressure on this. Like, I can't quite see what's happening with the Doomfist at the moment. He seems fine. The Junkrat seems fine. So yeah, pressure should be going onto the enemy team, and you want to just force them to use resources, but the big thing is to just push this Ryan as far as possible. If they nano it, they nano it. That's fine. Don't fuck up to this. There's no need. Maybe we were anticipating that we'd come out of... that our ult would finish and we'd be able to fade it. Yeah, you can't fade that. The thing is, Moira is so powerful as a healer that dying there is kind of inexcusable. Like, you need the Moira for a fight like this one, because you'll be able to keep so many people alive, and if the fight goes long, you'll have another ultimate. I literally did this yesterday. Like, we had a couple of instances, I think, where we were fighting around payloads, and I ulted twice in one fight, because Moira is broken. I'd say that was a failure to execute, and that's a failure largely on the idea of space and controlling space. Like, what I'm going to do is go through this, but at 2 times speed. We're not going to pause it anymore. I'm just going to, like, try and point out when the spacing is kind of fucked up. And it's like, well, this is normal. But then this first barrier, you need to fall back to, like, here. And this, like, even this is too far forward for my taste. You fall back on the second barrier to about here. Third barrier should be about here. But instead, the third barrier is, like, all the way over here. As a result, the Reinhardt just walks through it. Main tank dies. Everyone gets caught in a bad position. Like, you got no main tank. Sigma alone can't stop it. They can get the kills. Hanzo tries something, he goes on a nice little flankaroo, does a bunch of damage, but it's not going to be enough. At this point, you're trying to stabilize. You want to stabilize around here, generally. Especially if they have once they have this Widow, you really want to be careful about the regrouping phase here. But hey, yeah, regrouping kind of happens. Their Reinhardt dies. Okay, you push to take this corner. Fair enough, and then clean up. Good. And now you're just holding this corner. Like, this is where we want to be. Is there Widow behind us? No, the Widow's in front of us. It's the Junkrat that gets behind us. The Junkrat comes in, they telegraph a push, and this is where we just need to give ground. Like, they've committed, you're not going to beat Trance and Nano Boost together. Like, I think the Sigma ult is fine there to try and stall up the aggression. If he caught the Reinhardt, that would have been fine. It's just like a, hey, stop, freeze. But I honestly think your team, because they don't have a Lucio, could have just run backwards as well. And just use the Coalescence as, like, the safety to get out of there. Again, this is an example of the Orisa just being too far forward. You just got to give them ground, got to give them regrouping space. This is also where the Baptiste needed to cover people to deal with the Widow. Like, Immortality Field to get past Widowmakers is fine. Then this is where the team just needs to group up pretty much in spawn and then just come out together. Okay, take the corner. Look, you're a group. It's pretty good. It's where, hey, the diva. Okay, fall back, fall back, fall back. You've got no Immortality Field. You need to play a little bit carefully. Yeah, play the corner. Focus down the barrier a little bit, and then this is where, hey, Immortality Field on this is pretty much vital. Hello? Hello? Is that a question mark? That's up for you guys to figure out. This isn't actually a ranked game either. Poor Zen. And then yeah, like the tank's trying to take space, but there's like a threat behind. And like this isn't the cleanest fight either. Like the tank charges the Zenyatta, okay. And then but he doesn't need to go forward here. Like all he needs to do, this Ryan, is just like plug himself here. And then you got like 3 people to deal with this McCree. And then after the McCree's dealt with, then you can start pushing forward. You have spawn advantages, you have everything. Like this part really annoys me because the Reinhardt's like, oh, I'm going to try and run into their diva. No need to do so, because all that's doing is pulling resources, pulls the healers to go and try and help this Reinhardt do something that he can't actually do. If the enemy team just walks backwards, he can't do anything. This is why Lucio was considered the most powerful hero in Overwatch for so long, because if both teams can move at the same speed, then if you try and push forward and they just walk backwards, nothing changes. And to me, it's one of the most important realizations in Overwatch is that knowledge that, hey, you can just give ground. And if they don't have a Lucio, they can't catch you. Like, if they don't have a way of pinning you down, they can't catch you. Okay, let me have a drink. The Junkrat shouldn't be a problem if you have a Baptiste who knows what he's doing. Junkrat ult should not give that value, especially if the Baptiste is tracking. The Baptiste should be tracking the Junkrat ult, similar to how Zenyatta should be tracking trances and gravs. Enemy trances, enemy gravs, enemy dragon blades, all this kind of stuff. The Zenyatta needs to be tracking. The Baptiste needs to be tracking Junkrat ults because it's his job. Okay, it's our attack. We're playing on the Mercy. And we've got a Farah. Okay, we've got Pharmacy. So the big thing to look for is hit scan threats. So hey, you see a McCree shoot. No sign of a Widowmaker, which is always nice. And honestly, if we're doing this correctly, our priority should 100% be the Farah. I don't like how on the ground we are, and I don't like the angle we take. The power of Farah on this point is in this building. This building right here. Let's like wireframe it, right? This building here. It's a powerful building. It's a real nice building. Because what this building lets us do is we can hug this building and like push around the corner super easily. We can just push around here. We have all this cover, and you can use this building as a nice amount of cover. And if the enemy team is holding like over here, like on the little high ground down there, you can just like knock them off. You can concussive blast them off it. You can just push them off it by using this wall as cover around here. They can't really stay there very long. They are inevitably going to be pushed back into this space. Like most of King's Row is determined by like this area back here and what you can do in this space. And the Farah lets you do is like poke around and just like pressure here and like shoot down here, and as you go around it, you can just keep pressure. Going all the way out here. This is just, oh, shoot me. Like, if they just did the normal thing, if the Reinhardt, like, fell back a little bit instead of just marching into your team for some reason, and just put the barrier up here and the McCree stood here, you can just be shot to death. But it feels like... Oh, no, give me the mouse. There we go. It feels like both of these teams aren't willing to just bend a little bit. You know, you got to bend. You got to be flexible with your positioning. You can't just, like... say, this is our ground, this is where we fight, this is where they die. You've got to just give a little, be a little bit flexible. Yeah, honestly, 90% of our job is just going to be plugging into Farah's bomb, especially with the Ana healing the tanks and everyone on the ground. And with the Farah, yeah, we should absolutely be the people moving forward. Pharmacy wants to, like, Pharmacy can take over second point King's Row, if allowed to. I'd honestly like to see the Pharmacy go more aggressive here. Because the thing with this is, you don't want to be fighting here. If you watch San Francisco Shock play very carefully, you'll see that they actually did dedicate a huge amount of resources to make sure they don't fight here. Because this is not a good choke point for you. What is a good place for you to fight is actually around the pub, around this building here. Because A, it's a pub, so you can stop him for a pint and wait for everything to blow over. Or you can just like bounce around on top of this, and you have like so many angles to approach from. You can actually fly around on this side, you can fly around up here. You have all of this airspace is just suddenly available to you. So all of this ground is just suddenly contested and dangerous. You've got to be so careful when dealing with a pharmacy that's just flying around on top of this pub. Because it's always going to be a problem. And it lets you set up points of contest where you could just shoot into the back and your team's pushing into the front. So I would like to see us just take a little bit more aggression here, because you can hold like up here, you can hold over here, and you can just be a constant thorn in their side. As long as they aren't playing the Widow, if the Farah stays high enough, the McCree should not be a huge issue. We're going to die here. Yep. And this is kind of the issue of not taking that ground. And also the Farah flying a bit too low. Where all the threats are suddenly in one side. Like with Pharmacy, you really need to push it so that you've got two threats coming from two different angles. Otherwise, why are you playing Pharmacy, basically? And the Farah does get into a position where she can start shooting to the backline. By the time she does, there's an anti-nade that's landed, hit everybody. Coalescence is going through. Coalescence is an actual big problem for you as a Pharmacy, because if the Moira does exactly what she's doing now, even if you're on full hit points, the Moira can kill the Mercy. So you've got to respect the Coalescence a bit. It's a very good way of dealing with Pharmacy, is just coalescing it and just taking out the Mercy, and then you can just take out the Farah at your leisure. Enemy team's really pushing forward here. The bright side here is that you guys have like 5 ults pretty much. As long as the Farah doesn't die, you should be okay. Enemy team has a lot of ults, but neither of you have good answers to Graviton Surges and such. Farah still playing Farah. Spotted the Doomfist. We need to be up in the air. They have a Doomfist. This should be very, very high on our list of considerations when they do have the Doomfist. If you're playing Mercy, your protection against the Doomfist is being in the air. Like, even if you're healing people on the ground, we should just be constantly, like, floating up. Especially when there's, like, walls like these ones, right? If there's no wall, sure, yeah, play behind the Reinhardt barrier, but when you got, like, big protective walls to play around, yeah, you want to be away from the ground. You don't want to be ground pounded by Doomfist, uppercut, shot, shot, shot. Simple combo. That's their graph. So you can just let this happen. I would, at this point, definitely just let this happen. Even better, they use Earth Shatter. Great. The moment they grabbed, like, you've got to make a decision at this point. Your team either counter grabs, which you can't do, Earth Shatters, which you can't do, and so yeah, you basically just lose this fight straight away. The fact that they use Earth Shatter is huge for your team, because they absolutely did not need to do that. The downside is Ana used her ulti, but honestly, it doesn't matter too much. You guys have grab, you have barrage. The nano would have been nice to protect the barrage, but you should still be fine. And now your team has like 2 options, 3 options. You can either just focus down their Rhine barrier, break it, and then pressure with Earth Shatter, and hopefully get some kills on the back of that, or we can just barrage, grab barrage combo. Like, there's nothing to stop it. And even if you just get their front line, it's fine. So there's the grab. We're way too worried about our camera angle. And even, like, as flubbed as that was, I'm going to pause it here. So the grab comes in here. Pharah just barrages into it. And even as scuffed as that was, like, all you need is to get rid of these 2. Once the tanks are down, yeah. Deadeye, okay, we've got res. You res it. Earth Shadow is now free to go through. And it's a bit of an overcommit. Pharah needs to be a bit smarter about their positioning. But otherwise, like, it will do, I suppose. If you really want to do this elegantly, honestly, the Pharah doesn't need to be that high up. She can just stay behind the Reinhardt barrier here. The Reinhardt or the Zarya should be focused on protecting the Pharah. Like, the setup should be, or the plan should be ahead of time. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to grab barrage. What does that entail? What does that mean? You think sort of logically from step by step by step by step on, okay, well, how do we make this work? Well, we need to protect the Pharah. Okay, save the bubble for the Pharah, bubble the Pharah. Ideally, you'd have nano boost, and you just nano the Pharah instead, and that should keep her up through most things. Even this Deadeye probably wouldn't have worked if you had the nano. If you don't have it, okay, fine, fair enough, just use a bubble. Then if it doesn't work, well, then you have our Shadow to fall back on. I think what ended up happening was the Reinhardt ran into the Graviton Surge, started swinging, instead of protecting the Pharah. If you protect the Pharah, you don't need to swing. Zarya almost died to McCree again. Reinhardt needs to rest his barrier. This team should be pushing forward a little bit more aggressively, though. Like, again, this is an example of a McCree who is really out of position. Like, he's used his role. McCree has used all of his mobility. The Reinhardt wants to be, like, here. The Pharmacy wants to be pushing in behind him at this point, probably. Like, not actually flying too high, probably. Just use the Reinhardt for cover and just take out this guy. Your McCree should be doing the same. The person who should be on point at this point is probably just the Ana. Just, like, sat at the corner. Because if you kill this McCree, this next area, and this is the area that you're really worried about taking, will be so much easier. And because the McCree's alive, okay, their Reinhardt's committing suicide. Like, you should kill this guy. Just fucking kill him. This is where, like, my instincts take over. Okay. He has run into your team. Like, he's given himself 0 ground, and the only saving grace their team has is this Doomfist on the flank who gets spotted and annihilated. Okay, very good job. They've used Projected Barrier. That's like the safety on their Reinhardt. If their team's used Barrier and your team hasn't, which I don't think you have. Okay, it's used there. Yeah, your team has advantage. As long as the Reinhardt doesn't die here, yeah, we can just push. Like, play aggro. Keep playing aggro on the Rhine. Okay, then, anyway, give them ground. Back up. It's a bold res. I don't like that res. Okay. Sorry to distract from coaching, but how would you advise surviving against flank DPS as Ana Zen? Thanks. You stop playing Ana Zen. Stop playing Zen especially. If they're killing you repeatedly, you've just got to get off the Zen. Ana, you can just try and play very defensively, like play close to your tanks, use nades very defensively, try and sleep dart things, like save your sleep dart for stuff like Doomfists, and play very conservatively. Zen, if they're playing like very aggressive dive, you just stop playing Zen. Like, it doesn't work. Swap to Moira, who's safer, especially if they don't have like Grav and stuff like that. Swap to Moira. If they do have Grav and stuff, you swap to Lucio instead. You can also just swap to Baptiste, and then if they're trying to dive, use Baptiste, Immortality Field, press Shift, other supports should come along, save you in time. Zen is very vulnerable to dive. Otherwise, the other option is you learn how to outplay DPS as Zen, and you just reliably kill the Tracer or whatever's diving you. And if it's a Doomfist, you can't do it. It's like, it's physically impossible if the Doomfist and Zen are even remotely closely skilled for the Doomfist to lose to the Zen, unless he's a complete mong. Like, I think unless you have a full charge right click built up, and ready to headshot him with, I don't think you can win. It's just stupid. Okay. The reason why I'm focusing on this fight so much is because kind of a lot of dynamics change very quickly. Like, this is where I'm like, push, 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 push. Because their Reinhardt, to me, is just badly out of position. And I'd even say, like, this Conk Blast doesn't do your team any favors. Like, it's just very badly placed. She puts it here. Like, it's literally on the payload. So it launches the Reinhardt and the Zarya back. You don't want them launched back. You want them in. Because if they're in, then they're in your McCree, they're in your team, and you can just nail them. I don't like this charge. This charge is terrible. He should have just run forward. The issue with, like, if he runs forward here, if he just runs this direction, this Reinhardt has nowhere to go. Like, Ryan is stuck. He's antied, so he's panicking. He's all the way out here. Safety for him is like this way. He can run this way, but then his team is just completely vulnerable. So he's probably not going to run this way. As Reinhardt, hey, let's do some trigonometry, guys. Right? So let's say, like, if our Reinhardt runs here, this Reinhardt tries to run here. Like, you catch him! You catch him! Instead, your Reinhardt goes, oh, I'm just going to charge him. So yeah, the enemy Reinhardt countercharges. And it's perfectly fine. Their Baptiste completely fucks the Immortality Field. Great bubble by the Zarya. And then he just gets saved. And it's just like, if your Ryan just dogpiled into here, he'd probably be killing the Zarya right now. Once they get this nano boost off, though, and especially when this Reinhardt is antied, like, this fight is suddenly going badly. Your goal now needs to be to survive this. Like, you've got to survive this Reinhardt. Because your Nano's going to run out first, and your Reinhardt's in a lot of trouble. He should be barriering here. Instead, he's swinging. Like, his barrier's not cracked. He still has over 1,000 hit points. And he just gets mowed down by the Zarya. He, like, goes, oh, well, I can't protect against the Reinhardt. And the Zarya just fucking kills him. And I'm pretty sure the McCree probably kills him, too. No, it's just the Ryan and Zarya. But yeah, he just needs to be barraying. Like, half a second later, and yeah, this is definitely Valkyrie time. Honestly, I would say Valkyrie might even be at, like, this point. Like, once this fight really begins in earnest, I'd say probably pop Valkyrie now and just start damage boosting everybody. Valkyrie is a great ult. It's very, very similar. Like, in my mind, use Valkyrie exactly the same as you use Coalescence. Use it very aggressively. When you think that a fight might not be quite going your way, but you have advantage, you can definitely use it to just confirm and push as aggressively as possible. Like, giving some damage amps out here would be really nice. It does give us the safety to get the res. The issue I have with this res is it's... like, even with Valkyrie, it's very liable to get us killed. Where's our Ana as well? She's still alive. She's getting pressured out. The issue with res is that you can't heal while resing. And, like, that's always the circumstance you've got to keep in mind. Charging the Zarya is fine, at least. Gets the Reinhardt back towards safety. This is where that Valkyrie is coming in handy. Yeah, fuck this Reinhardt up. Like, he's way too far forward. Can we move the camera? Hello? Hello? There we go. Come on. Come on, ride! Like, he's got over 1,000 barrels. Look, I fucking saw it. Look at him. It's not even cracked. You've got their Immortality Field. Immortality Field is up. Just hold your barrier up. That's all you need to do at this point. Once this Immortality Field goes down, he can't swing. Like, swinging's not going to do anything. Yeah, you just barrier up. Let them use this shit. Concede the space. Both these tanks are not particularly great. I'm going to be harsh, but I'm going to say it just outright. Both of these tanks are a little bit kill happy. Be very careful in engaging the Junkrat there. Just keep him pressured. That's all you need to do. Yeah, just spam him out. Keep him pressured in there. As long as he isn't contesting the point, you guys are fine. Okay, this is where we should be. So yeah, the pharmacy should be taking ground. Good to see that we're doing that. Take the corner. And this is where the Reinhardt's fucking up. There is very little point to pushing further than this corner. Because to do anything, like, their team can just stand back here, and to do anything, your Reinhardt has to go all the way over here. Your Reinhardt stood on the point, so he can't be healed anymore. And yeah, it's just like asking for him to die. So like, you want to be super careful about pushing further in this corner. Okay. Or you can just blow your ults and that works too, I guess. I mean, there's 3 ults gone. It's risky. I'm still not happy with it. I think their Reinhardt fucked up by not catching that, although we can't see his the state of his barrier. And I just think this is so dangerous. Like, this is just asking for things to flub. We don't even get their Baptiste. What is their Baptiste doing? Immortality field. Field. I'm not the happiest with that. It works, but it works in kind of a dumb way. And I've always been the advocate of just because it worked doesn't mean it's smart. Like, the issue I have with it is just it's so easy for shit to go wrong here. Like, if the Zarya just went, oh, well, fuck it, I'll just grab these two. Like, you guys just lose. And honestly, yeah, she can do that. 100%. Wins them this fight, gets them building up towards the next ulti. It's fine. There's no way the pharmacy can ult here. Or shouldn't ult here. Because, hey, Immortality Field should stop it. And they can just sleep dart it, kill it. No problem. This should not work as well as it did. Okay. They have a sim going on a flank. Okay. This is a bold choice. There's the Grav, there's the Deadeye, and hey, yeah, they win the fight. I got it all the way there at least. You've got the combo set up. I don't mind it super much because you got 3 minutes, but yeah, it's fine. Swapping to the, like, ditching the Pharah here isn't the worst. Like, the thing is, like, Pharah can do some good stuff in this area, especially if they don't have, like, a Widowmaker. And, like, all you need to do is just dump the barrage into a Grav. That's all you need. That's a desperation swap to a D.Va, if I've ever seen one, of, oh shit, they probably have Grav, I should play D.Va. It'll also help against the Reaper a little bit. The way you need to play this has changed dramatically, though. If the Zarya just grabs here, I will be very annoyed. Lol. What is this magical world where Reinhardt Earthshatter is so reliable? This enchanted realm I long to play on. This is because the Reinhardt's too aggressive. Like, the Reinhardt's running in, swinging, and yeah, their Reinhardt just walks into the back line and just literally does a 180 Earthshatter. It's a thing of beauty. Kills everyone. GG. Good job by the Baptiste, finally. You need to be a little bit quicker on these immortality fields. You should just be teleporting out. Play it safe. Just regroup. So what I say, like, hey, you guys need to play this slightly differently. You need to put a lot of pressure on their barrier, especially if you are playing Reaper McCree. Yeah, you pressure down the Reinhardt barrier and then grab. If you just grab super early and he has a lot of barrier, you are not going to do shit. You basically need to get their barrier gone. That's messy as hell from both teams. I love it. Okay. I love that the Zarya missed and then people ran into it as well. So the immortality field's there. The McCree is busy running. Doesn't catch that. Their Reinhardt misses the charge on that as well. The Symmetra is doing something. She's trying to flank and die on the point. The Symmetra is trying to be way too clever for her own good. Like, everyone's trying to be super clever and super cute, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, the McCree's over here, the Symmetra is somewhere. I can see a turret flying this way somehow. The Symmetra is up here. The McCree's over here. The Reinhardt's here, the D.Va's here, the Ana's here. So the Ana literally can't help anybody. I think the Baptiste is also, like, back here somewhere. What the fuck? Excuse me? Everyone's trying to be, like, super cute. If literally the Symmetra just stood behind the main tank and just held left mouse button on Rodeo here, who's, like, the most aggressive Reinhardt on the planet, she would have full charge 24/7 and kill everyone. I fucking guarantee it. Who's coaching? It's the Moira, but because it's third person viewpoint, it's gonna have to be like the whole team. Like, it's super, and especially as a healer, like, unless your decisions are obviously terrible, they're not gonna stand out too much in third person. So we're looking at kind of everything and trying to glean as much as possible. And in general, both of these teams just are, like, super unwilling to just give a little bit of ground. And that's so important to learn when dealing with Reinhardts. With Arisa's, you want to be careful giving ground, because she will take and take and take and take and take. With Reinhardt, you give ground, but Reinhardt, to me, it's like, you know, over time his effectiveness does this. Because his barrier gets lower and lower and lower and lower, and then he has to stop and regenerate it. And when he's doing that, then you take advantage. And it's just about giving him enough space to run out of oomph. This is why Reinhardt is a satisfying and well-designed hero, because he can run out of oomph. And shooting at his barrier actually feels like it has impact. This looks better out of red team. This looks 100% better out of red team. This is us taking our eye off the ball for a second. This is why, like, you just plug into that Pharah, man. Especially if you're playing in a 6-stack of some sort, you just plug into that Pharah 24/7. Yeah, you should be able to get the res here. What is that Junkrat doing? Oh god, this shit annoys me so much. Like, again, people are trying to be too clever. Like, Junkrat, oh, I'm gonna go on a flank! Flanking Junkrat stopped working the moment. Do you know why flanking Junkrat doesn't work? Because a while ago, his nades, his bombs, used to do... I've drawn a boob, okay? And it used to do a fixed amount of damage, right? It was always just 100% damage no matter where. I can't remember the precise number. I think it was 80 or 120. I can't remember which way around it was. I think it was 120 throughout the entire radius of his bomb. And then they changed it to have, you know, it's a gradation. It does less and less and less the further you go out. So it's like 100% here, then it's like 80 and 60 and so on, 40, 20, 0. Right? 120. Yeah, 120 sounds right to me. And so it used to be very easy. You fire a nade, you throw the bomb, you detonate the bomb, and you get a kill. Boom! Easy kill. And that's why flanking Junkrat was so effective and so powerful. Because you had this, like, if people weren't aware of you, you just fire a grenade into the back, slam it in there as easy as you like, throw the bomb, kill. And then you use the second bomb and jump out. Ha ha! So easy. What happens now is exactly kind of what happened here. where the Junkrat comes out on the high ground, jumps down, and like there's an Ana there ready to die. He runs in, he does a little bit of damage to some people, and then dies. And like he can't finish people off anymore in that easy way. If you're committing to doing something like this, you have to have a team comp that's built for it. Also, red team's got a Brigitte, so they're going to lose automatically, by the way. Do not play this hero. Do not play this hero. Just don't do it. Don't do this to yourselves. It's insanity. In fact, I want to check overbuff. Overbuff, heroes. So this is the website. The figures on this website are not accurate. Let's go to Grandmaster, support. Okay. Continue using site, thank you. So, Brigitte. I mean, the fact that Zen is lower than jeez, that hurts. That hurts so badly. Oh, no. This only works off people who... She's actually got a really positive win. But then again, everyone in Grandmaster has positive win rates. She's super niche. Like, super niche. She's so niche it hurts. It's like... Yeah, that's more like it. It's just not good. Like, the situation she's in. And I think the only time you really get away with picking her, and I imagine like she'll probably see more... No, not even in bronze. The only time you can really get away with picking her is if they're playing like Tracer Sombra or like Soldier Sombra, Soldier Tracer, like a lot of small granular damage. That's when you can kind of get away, and especially if it's at like a dive comp, then you can kind of do it. And she's fit for task in that if they play like a super aggro dive style, Brig will probably be okay. But if they play anything close to what people are playing at the moment, yeah, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. I think if you look at a single hero, 50% is the highest you can have for pick rate because both supports can't be a Moira. But yeah, this is not surprising. Like Moira, Lucio, Ana, all very strong at the moment. They've still got some... Like, they still have... This website badly needs an update. It still has, like, defense heroes listed and stuff like that. It's just... Come on, guys. Sort your shit out. Sort your shit out. Yeah, I don't know what the Brig is doing in this comp. Don't pick it. Don't do it. But yeah, if you are going to play Junkrat, and like you can play Junkrat in this like super aggressive dive style, but you need to have resources dedicated to him. In like maybe you can brute force that with the Brig, where you basically what you need to do is have the Junkrat waiting like here, is what I would say. And as they push in like here or here, you have him jump in, bomb, and then bomb his way out, and just throw health packs onto him as he escapes. And the reason why you do that is to give him like 50% plus of his ult, and maybe kill someone, and like do a massive wad of damage as they're like all the enemy team push through here. Like that's what you're looking to do. And you'd see teams do stuff like this on 2CP maps where like the enemy team just wants to run to the point. You can launch Junkrats into the enemy team, scatter them, do a ton of damage, and then get a really fast Riptire and win off the back of that. But it really doesn't work when he's just going in and like, I'm going to sneak into the back and just blow people up. It just doesn't work. He's not fit for that. So yeah, your team just should smash through. Yeah, just give him space. Pharah just killed your Zarya, doesn't matter. Whoop. Yeah, that was a waste. They should concede this, I think, at this point, unless... Widow? Widow? Go huge? I'm actually fine with that nano use. Like, I think it's okay. It keeps the Pharah completely safe. Just guarantees they can't take this point back. If the Widowmaker suddenly popped off and killed everyone, you'd feel very silly. And because this is, like, last 15 seconds, you've got to commit. So I'm fine with committing that.
10 seconds remaining.
Why can't you use Brig to pocket Doomfist Reaper? Because Moira, Baptiste have way more utility and can do it just as well. And Doomfist doesn't need pocketing if he's good. Yeah, don't worry about looking at the Ana on the payload. Just worry about looking at the action. I don't need to see that there's an Ana still on the payload. The Ana should just be still on the payload. I'm guessing there's a flanker. Yeah, there's a McCree. Sleeped up. Well. Hey, let's think about threats that can end the game. Yeah, This should be what the Ana's doing, and like she should be looking at this window. That I think is the problem I have here, right? This window is where you need to be looking, because that's where the threat's going to come from. If your team all pushed forward and all ran forward, well, ahead of you, you know, is pretty much secure. It's like there is a chance that people can come from this alleyway, but this is like, if anything's going to happen, this window is where it's going to happen. I guarantee you. If a Doomfist is going to launch out of it, if a Tracer's going to launch out of it, if a McCree's going to launch out of it, it's going to happen from that window. She should be looking there. Like, I've made it almost a force of habit to keep an eye on that window. Well, she got the sleep dart, but saying a DPS doesn't need pocketing seems weird. Right, but why would you pick a Brig to throw armor packs at a Doomfist who doesn't need those armor packs? Because if you think about Doomfist's cycle, like, okay, you pocket a Pharah, but Pharah needs to be constantly shooting, constantly building up ult charge, constantly firing, constantly fighting. Doomfist works in bursts. Doomfist goes in, combos, gets out. Kill. And he just needs one kill. That's all he needs, because then the rest of the team can snowball off the back of it. Generally, the idea is, especially when you play something like Reaper Doomfist, is the Doomfist gets the entry kill, and then the rest of the team pushes in off the back of that, and then Doomfist's cooldowns come off, and he can continue killing, and he doesn't need to worry about comboing anymore, because your team has advantage, you're pushing in, you can just knock tanks around, help with assisted damage, blow their team up. You don't need to put Brig armor packs on him to do that, and you don't need to, like, cut your team's healing in by like 2/3 by ditching Ana, Baptiste, Moira, or ditching utility like Speed Boost, which is super good, and Sound Barrier, which is super good for things that aren't quite that good. So it's like, yeah, saying a Doomfist doesn't need pocketing compared to a Pharah, it's kind of a false analogy, because Pharah's effectiveness it's a straight line. She doesn't like use cooldowns, or it's not quite a straight line because she does have a couple of cooldowns, but it's mostly flat. Doomfist, it's like every cooldown he uses, his effectiveness drops massively. But once those come back up, then he's back in. So it's not quite as simple as like, oh well, Pharah needs pocketing, why don't you pocket a Doomfist and get the same results? He doesn't need it. It's the same logic as not quite actually. Like, it almost says the same logic as how you pocket Widows, where you damage out the Widow, but honestly, your job is mostly just to res her. Like, she doesn't actually, if the Widow at a certain level, like Overwatch League level, at highest level, doesn't actually need the damage boost quite as much. It's just mostly to have the res, so you can consistently be a threat as Widow, make aggressive plays, and not feel super punished when it goes wrong. Okay, this looks a lot more like standard King's Row. Tanks actually giving ground. Let's look at the threats available to us. We are playing on the Baptiste. They have a Junkrat, so the big thing we want to be considering is Immortality Field for his ultimate. Your team has a Junkrat too, so it looks like you guys have your own little meta. Almost mirror comps, except we have a Diva instead of the Zarya. This to me says that you guys should win the barrier battle, and like the Zarya is focusing the wrong target and ends up. So this is why this is so important to understand like the basic flow of King's Row, because the Zarya should not be running this way ever. Like the only time she should be running this like over this direction is when you guys have a huge advantage and you're like trying to wrap around and push into the enemy team. If you're in kind of what I would call neutral at this point, where both teams kind of on even footing, you're like both feeling each other out, trying to build out ultimates, trying to get a pick, trying to get something done. This is kind of a neutral state. You definitely don't want to push this way. This is why it's so important to understand that as defenders, you like defend here, and then you defend here. And like this is the main area that you're playing in, like this space here. Because once you understand that running this way is running away from safety. The other thing to understand is that Zarya, if she can get high charge, hey, they've got a Junkrat, and the enemy tank is aggressive, yeah, she can get high charge. You can actually kill, like, once their Reinhardt barrier goes down, you'll be able to kill through most of their team really fast. So just focusing down their Rhine barrier is going to be the big objective. Using and abusing line of sight, going to be very big for you guys. And just trying to, like, once their Reinhardt moves out here, if you just smash down his barrier, you guys should just be able to clean up, because the Zarya will be able to kill everything. So Zarya dying there is a very, very big problem. It's not unwinnable. It's going to be very hard. Good flank out of McCree. Doesn't quite get the kill, though. bold. It works on the baby diva. The baby diva. And then he rolls into a Reinhardt. No, he just gets killed by the Moira before he can roll. Yeah. Where spawn distances should mean, unless you guys commit some ults here, like, you're gonna need one hell of a Riptire. That was not one hell of a Riptire. Here's a cool thing about Riptire. You don't need to go the straight path. Actively shouldn't go the straight path. Watch what happens once we use this ulti. Just this literal second afterwards. Reinhardt backs off the point. So if you send this Riptire and just like go up or go around the back here, like if you just turned it around and went through the corridors and went around the back, they have to give ground. They can't stand near this doorway, the doorway over here. They probably need to be wary of this as well. And you have the run of the entire space. And so you can just use this to buy time and get everyone back. And then find a good angle to get into their team. Because if they try and run forward onto the point here, you have so many ways of getting to them. They have to give ground. And it's kind of this understanding of this flow, where if they run into you, well, you win. If they back off, you win. So the thing to do almost there is like nothing. Because you win either way. The field was a good attempt. Not much more you could do about that. You have Baptiste online. You only have to stop this next corner. The big thing here is that people cannot die at this point. Like, the Ana cannot be this far forward, and yeah, you guys have probably just lost. You guys have definitely just lost, I think, unless this Junkrat goes huge. Oh my word. What the fuck? Okay. Their team is going to play this super safe. I think the moment this Ana died, they won. Like, they needed to not puss out here. Like, I think what was happening was someone was calling, oh, just hold the corner. Like, they just need to secure a kill onto this Reinhardt and they win. Or kill the Junkrat. I think everyone got low here and got scared. Moira's just picking everyone back up, though. Everyone's fine. The Reinhardt got scared, though. Like, the one time one of these Ryans gets scared. This Riptire is better. This Riptire is more what I want. How did Ryan live? Not Rodeo. Jordo went, oh fuck! I'm super low, I'm gonna back out! That realizing, hey, the enemy Ryan is super low. Yeah, the advantage here that Red has is that they have 6 ultis and you guys have 0 ultis. In the economics of Overwatch, that generally means they win. Well, there they all go. Oh no, we still got nano boost. Go on, stick that sucker on Reinhardt. You know you want to. Press Q. Ana! Ana! There we go, thank you. But, like, to me, the game wasn't lost back here. The game was lost over here. And, like, the game was lost on this positioning. It's like this moment here. Where our positioning seems fine. Like, this is where we want to play as the Baptiste. We want to be here. It's this motion here. Like, there is no reason for the Reinhardt to be this far forward. Like, they have to come to you, dude. And you can just hold this corner forever and just spam grenades into them. And if their Reinhardt is stood here on the point, and his barrier dies, and you're stood here, well, you can go to safety. He can't. He's got nowhere to go. Like, he has absolutely nowhere to go that's safe. The nearest safety for him is, like, all the way back here. So you kind of want to bait him, and especially if he's pushing around this side and pushes all the way out here. Like, if he's stood here and his barrier breaks, he's fucked. If you're stood here and your barrier breaks, you can just back away. And like that to me is like the big thing that was kind of missing in all of this, was just like this knowledge of why the 2 barrier meta is so strong, and why it's such a problem to deal with, and why Reinhardt was phased out. Like, why is Reinhardt considered now a bad choice or a losing choice? And it's literally this exact logic, that with double barrier, dealing damage to barriers is irrelevant. You can shoot them and 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 shoot them, and they're just going to keep deploying the Orisa barrier, regen the Sigma barrier, and you might eventually grind it down. You might eventually get rid of the Sigma barrier and eventually overwhelm an Orisa barrier, but it takes so long to do. It's such a slow process that you might as well just find ways to get past it. With Reinhardt's, when you give them space, you can just kill the barrier over time, and any damage you do into the barrier sticks unless you can hide and be safe, and most of the places where you can hide and be safe aren't taking ground aggressively, aren't gaining anything important. And so it's sort of the knowledge that, well, with Reinhardt's, I'm going to use the phrase like, you give them enough rope to hang themselves. And it feels like that's what we're not doing. Where if their Reinhardt wants to push like this, run out here and run all the way into your team, like, his barrier will die about here. Because he's running into a McCready, a Baptiste, a Zarya on high charge, a Junkrat. There's no way his barrier lasts, like, from here all the way to here. It just won't. He just won't survive it. The D.Va might be able to get him a little bit closer, but even then, the most they might get is a third. Maybe. Probably not. And so the Rhine barrier gets smashed, and then you guys just kill him. And you might be thinking, oh, well, our Rhine barrier is getting smashed as well. But yeah, but your safety is here. Like, you are safe here. They're really overextended. And once that happens, you just win. And hey, look, you even have Immortality Field. Oh, look, the Reinhardt died. And if your Zarya was up, the D.Va's going to die instantly. There's nothing really the Junkrat or McCree can do about the Zarya-Rhine combo. But it's these mistakes over here that really cause the problem. And it's being willing to, like, concede a little bit to ground. Whereas if they were playing Orisa, like, let's say they actually played the meta comp, the way it would work is they would probably push through here, shove a barrier here, you have a barrier here, you shoot each other for a bit, their next barrier goes here, and then they're kind of just on the point. And you can't really do anything about that because they're just refreshing the barrier. And then you have to do something, then you have to fight into them, or they have to fight into you if you're, like, standing here. Like, someone has to do something. And that's kind of the issue with the current meta, is that you end up in these really stupid situations where you just have 2 Orisa staring at each other, holding left mouse button, redeploying barriers forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And that's why everyone's kind of sick of it. That's why you see heroes like Reaper and Symmetra pop up, because they can at least kill those barriers and get them out of the way, whereas McCree, Ashe, Soldier, Widow, even, like, none of these heroes can do it. Or Mei can, like, wall people. You need, like, cleverer solutions than just shoot enemy team. You need other options. And also Junkrat can, like, build ultis, get those ultis in clever places, and do some stuff. Yeah. I'd say, like, from our point of view on the support, unfortunately, like, third person is very difficult to coach an individual player. I didn't see anything egregiously bad, like anything stupid out of us. I'd say when you are playing Pharmacy, like, the goal of the Pharmacy is to be, it's like you have split your team functionally in 2. You've got 4 and a 2. And if you watch any pro level team play Pharmacy, you'll always just see the Pharmacy, like, super aggro, on their own, doing their own thing. And it's generally to try and, like, oh, well, if the team's pushing here, and you can find ways to just, like, float up here and shoot down past their barrier, then that's going to cause problems for them, because then they have to, like, stay really hemmed in over here. If they try and push on the point, you can just shoot down and kill them, or, like, conk blast the Reinhardt into your team and then kill him. It's like your job is to cause problems for their positioning so that your team can exploit it. Otherwise, our ults seemed okay. Didn't really get to see too many on the Baptiste. The Moira ult seemed fine. I would say use Valkyrie more aggressively, so there was a good example of it on our attack towards the end of second, where moments like this where you think there might be an opening, like they're vulnerable, you use it the same as you'd use Coalescence. You can absolutely use Valkyrie right now and just give your team, like, a burst of power and push in on the back of that. I think that will be absolutely fine. because it just covers your entire team with like safety and extra damage, and that's what you kind of want. And this is where people like trip up with Valkyrie, because there's no obvious signal to use Valk. It's not like, Coalescent, it's not like Transcendence or Sound Barrier, which have like very obvious tells when to use it. It's much harder to get a read on it. My advice, like I've mentioned this before, that I have in my head like a list of heroes where it's like, if I'm on the fence going, do I ult? Certain heroes I will naturally just instantly go, okay, I should ult. Like if I'm even considering it, I should probably ult here. Whereas there's other heroes where if I'm considering it, I probably shouldn't. Like Zen is an example of a hero where you shouldn't ult if you're just considering it. Like if there's no obvious tell, it's like, should I ult here? I could maybe get some value. I'll generally go no. Whereas with Mercy, Moira, Baptiste, yes. 100% yes. Brigitte as well, yes. Like all these ults that charge much faster but have lower impact, yes, in general. I actually think Readout is one of the higher rated. Yeah, I would say so as well. If I had to guess, the Reinhardt is probably not very high rated. He plays very aggressively. Unfortunately, I don't think he actually listed his SR. Let's see if I can find it in the email. Oh, no, he did. He did list his SR. So I know his SR. You guys don't. So what is it? Tell me his SR, people. Try and figure out Readout's SR. I'm just surprised both teams decided to run Junkrat. It's not a bad choice. It's not a bad choice when you play meta. It's a bit of a weird choice here, I would say. He's not bad on King's Row, though. Like, the terrain favors him. Master. So, let's see. So, 3.5. 2.6. I will say it is very, very difficult to get a good readout, especially on an individual player, from a third-person viewpoint. 2.4. I watched none of the coaching, so you've hedged your bets on sort of around the average. Guessing 2.4, 2.5 average. And then 2.8 for readout. Yeah, I would probably say the average of this is around gold. It could. This is part of the issue I have with footage from like custom games and scrims and stuff. Though, is it is very difficult to like. Maybe Rodeo is like, for example, if I was in Rodeo shoes and like I'm a 3.2, 3.3 tank and I'm playing with a bunch of golds, I would probably play a lot more aggressively than I normally do because I know I can get away with it generally. Like I can get away with a hell of a lot more. I'm going to be punished a lot less. So it's very difficult when there's nothing on the line to go, oh well, I'll just do this. I'll just play aggressive. Your donation link is wrong. I imagine that's from Streamlabs. I imagine that's in the description automatically. I'll change those descriptions. Don't worry about those. It should be still fine on the Twitch, though. And also the alerts aren't working, so maybe the donations are going through. Nope, I haven't seen anything. Oh, wait, that might just be for subscriptions on YouTube. Nope. But yeah. The actual SR of the individual player is 2.4. 2,443. 2,443. I would say, like, your play is actually not bad. Like, from what we can see, you've made no obvious errors. You haven't made any, like, big mistakes. You've looked hesitant in places, but you haven't really been out of position. You've been playing relatively defensively. I would say that if you really want to rank up, go into pretty much every game and just pick Moira until you're in, like, Diamond. And you'll probably start winning 60 to 70% of your games. It's kind of sad at this point. I think even Jane tweeted. Like, Jane's tweeting again, guys. Way, good to see. I'm glad for him. I think Jane tweeted out something today, which, yeah, I'm pretty sure if you don't have 5 goals or Moira, you're throwing. Just played Moira for the first time this season, and holy moly, she overtuned, and insanely easy to play too. And here's the thing, yeah, I completely agree with like both of those statements. That she's not only extremely powerful, she's just very easy to be powerful with, and that's what kills me inside. Like Ana is perfect, Zen is perfect, Lucio perfect, Baptiste I'd say is actually pretty much perfect. Moira, Mercy, Brigitte, all of them. You can get like so much value out of the characters. Maybe not Brig, maybe not new Brig quite so much. But definitely Moira and Mercy, you can get so much value out of their characters by just doing like the bare minimum with them, and it's just it kills me inside. Like, can we not, please, Overwatch? Can we not? Can we not? Moira fits this meta very well. Yes, she does. She's always been good, especially in lower ranks. Like, she's always been strong. Like, there's a reason why it's like a meme in Grandmaster and even in High Masters of like Moira mains just being a huge problem, because she's at that rank, people can start figuring out how to beat her. Like, they can bait out fades and kill past it. They know how to do enough burst damage. Like, the shots are reliable enough to burst through her healing. Whereas below that, her healing output is just so batshit insane that it's not good enough. I always get worried in seeing someone on my team pick Moira. I would be less worried in current meta. Be worried if someone's picked Moira. If you have like Moira Baptiste, Moira Ana, like any of those, and they're playing like Ryan Zarya, because then you're going to lose to every graph. But if they're playing meta, don't worry about it. Like, the tools that people play with these days are like Doomfist ults, Reaper ults. Moira can actually deal with those. Reaper ult you just deal with just by not being shit. Good advice. Otherwise, that's probably going to be it from me, because I'm super hungry. I've been super stressed this week, and honestly, I don't have much more footage, aside from people who've already sent in tons of footage, so I kind of don't want to just do the same people over and over and over again. But do send in footage if you haven't already. I'd love some more. Send it into oamreviews@gmail.com. I'll update the description of this video as well. Reviews at gmail.com. And just include a YouTube link. Just record off of your replay. Just do it in first person. I think like third person is very difficult to get individual coaching done. But yeah, please send in footage. Sending in footage all the time. Yeah, I know, Gohan, but I don't want to just be your personal coach forever. It's kind of the problem. I need footage from multiple people. Otherwise it's a bit silly. Otherwise, yeah. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me. I still am receiving messages saying, hey, we're resolving your issue. Should be resolved soon. We should be back on Twitch soon. I really hope so. Otherwise, yeah, it's been good. Bye. God, I can't. Where's my outro? Like, there, I've got this working. How long should we wait after we've been coached to send in more footage? Just like a couple of weeks, maybe. It's just, I don't want to be in the depressing situation where I'm coaching the same 3 people over and over again, guys. Like, that's not good. That ain't good. That ain't a good look. You know? Bye. Bye.